Hello to my Consultancy Growth Network friends, it's Matt Hodkinson here from Influence Agents, and today I want to talk about a very divisive subject, LinkedIn. Now, you might be in one of two camps right now. A lot of you out there, I know, are thinking LinkedIn is an incredibly busy, noisy space. I am getting awash with messages every day, people trying to pitch their wares and get into my world, try and sell something to me. And at the same time, you're thinking, how can I be using LinkedIn to greater effect and perhaps not do what those guys are doing, but really improve your B2B selling proposition using what is the best B2B selling network out there. So today I've broken it down into 4 key areas that you can improve to get business from LinkedIn without lumping yourself in with those ne'er-do-wells. Okay, first off, as you might guess, is your profile. Now, this goes standard. Everybody who gives LinkedIn advice will tell you to pimp your profile before you do any sort of outreach. And I think it's good advice. So there are a number of things that you can change about your profile. It can be quite overwhelming. I'm going to just drill it down to just a handful of things that are going to lift you apart from the crowd, let you stand out a bit, and improve your credibility when people inevitably come checking you out when they hear from you, when they get visited, when they get your connection requests. So first off, make use of the branding options. Now, have a fantastic headshot, that should go without saying. Keep it consistent across your social profiles, and that way people will get to know that it is the same person that they're seeing on LinkedIn as they've seen on Twitter, as they've seen on Instagram if you're there, and anywhere else that they may have seen you online. That kind of consistency and recognition comes across and will stand you in good stead. The other area to look at is the header section on your LinkedIn profile. Now, you can brand that using your company branding, use some nice, really drilled down value proposition, get it in that as a headline. And when people visit your profile and they see that message, get a very early sense of what you're about. Can go a really long way. I want to talk to you about job titles as well on your profile, because a lot of people that do reach out to you via your inbox, I'm sure, have a few trigger words in their job title that put you on the back foot. So I'm guessing if you get a connection request or a message from somebody who has business development or sales in their role, then already you're thinking, whoa, okay, I know you've sent me a nice little connection request and you're not pitching me anything just yet, but I know the role you're in, I can see the kind of business you're in, so actually I'm not going to bother because I don't want to be pitched to. So by the same token, what do you have in your job title that might be putting others off? Have a look, this is a really important step. Whatever you can do to change your job title, and it doesn't have to be an official change, you don't have to go down to the local government office and change your name by deed poll or anything like that. We're just talking about the way that you present yourself on LinkedIn after all. It can say whatever you want it to. Internally, with your existing clients, you can be whatever you like. On LinkedIn, don't be too salesy and don't give people that reason to step back and to be wary of you. The last thing about your profile is your media links. You've got the option against your profile and against any role that you've done in the past to attach a number of media links. Now, this is a way to really make more interactive, more attractive your profile and link to some really useful, valuable items and assets that can further add to your credibility. This could be anything from a YouTube video that you recorded to a lead magnet, perhaps it's a checklist or a white paper that you've written recently, a podcast file, whatever it might be. You can link out to all of these assets that can further build your credibility, and it really stands out on your profile as well because you get to choose the thumbnail that gets shown against your profile. So those are just a few things on your LinkedIn profile to lift up. I'm not going to go through an exhaustive list, there are lots of things that you can focus on, but just start with those, your branding options, your job title, and those media links as well. Okay, so second of the 4 areas I want to talk to are the way that you're reaching out. And I mentioned earlier this kind of connect and pitch, as I call it. It's really off-putting, and no matter what your job title is, if you are reaching out to people and your connection request sometimes this happens every single day for me. I don't know about you, but somebody sends a connection request that pitches their business in the connection request. What are they thinking? Listen, I want you to just take a step back and realise what LinkedIn is intended for. It's a networking opportunity. It's not the same as going into a room and pressing the flesh, getting to know people. By the same token, even in that environment, would you go up to somebody and just say, "Hi, this is what we do"? No. Okay, so let's treat LinkedIn as it was intended and as your new connections will want you to treat it. Let's use a very softly approach to connecting with people, and let's use a get-give opportunity. And this is what I mean by that. Every time I reach out on LinkedIn to a new prospect, whether I've met them or not, I say, look, I'd love to have you part of my network. If there's anybody in my network that I can introduce you to that would be a good connection for you, please ask. I'll be happy to facilitate the introduction. What I'm doing there is I'm telling them I want them to be part of their network, I want to connect, I want to do some networking, but also using LinkedIn as it's intended as a networking opportunity. And of course, I make it about them. How can I introduce them? How can I better their network? How can I create opportunities for them to do better business in the future? Whether that's a direct opportunity, whether it's a good referral opportunity, whatever it might be, it's a get-give, okay? So I'm going to get by improving my network and having a prospect potentially join my network, but I'm also going to make my network available to them. So that's just a bit about the whole connect and pitch. Don't treat LinkedIn as an opportunity to just go and billboard yourself out there. Use it as a means to network. That's why it was built in the first place. The third thing I want to talk about is getting permission. Now this happens after you've got the connection, and it sets the tone for the relationship you will have with your connections on LinkedIn. And what I want you to do is to overtly tell your new connections what to expect from you. That you are going to message them. You're not just going to connect with them and then leave them alone, and they'll be part of your network. They might see your messages as you post them to your first line. I want you to tell them that you are going to message them. You are going to be in their in-mail inbox, and you're going to find, ideally, opportunities to help each other and to use that whole network mentality even further. Setting the tone for the relationship will help you to get better results later, not just for you, but for them too. So set the ground rules, tell them how you're going to use the platform, and you will get much better results from LinkedIn on the whole. And the fourth thing I want to talk to you about, is the whole kind of chat flow mentality. Now, I see a lot of people using InMail on LinkedIn. That is your primary route to communicate with your connections. You've established a first line connection. It is a legitimate channel for marketing, for networking, for sales. And it just means that you've got to get to the stage where you are comfortable talking about how you can help each other, whether they're a prospect, whether they're a referrer, whether you do channel sales operations, and they're going to be a good connector for you in that respect. Now, here's the thing to do. Don't use InMail like email. I want you to use it like a chat, like you would on WhatsApp or like you would on Facebook Messenger. And here's what I mean by that. I see people typing out whole emails, multi-paragraph, and then signing off at the bottom, kind regards, and their name. And what you do when you message people like that on LinkedIn in their in-mail inbox is you give permission for them to ignore you. What do I mean by that? How many emails from people that you barely know do you ignore? The vast majority of them, I would posit, unless they've come with a fantastic message or value proposition, some really compelling, impossible to ignore call to action. But when you use chat, and what I mean by that is sending individual lines of messages, keep it nice and short. Actually, use your mobile to do it, because that will reduce the number of characters that you're going to type into the messages. You're going to keep it short, you're going to keep it pithy, you're going to get to the value. But what happens is, when you just use those messages, you leave it open-ended, none of the kind regards, don't put your name or anything, is you're setting the expectation that you're looking for a response. You're expecting a response, keeping it short. And you can even post individual lines. You can post 3 or 4, one after the other, to get to the point, and then none of the kind regards stuff. Wait for them to respond. Your response rate will more than double if you use that mentality. Using the chat, but also having a chat flow of communications. And here, this is the real value of what I want to talk about today. Here is the chat flow that we use with our new prospects on LinkedIn once we've connected with them. So first off, we ask them if they would like to receive a valuable asset that we've put together that is for them. So call it a lead magnet, call it whatever you will, but we're not going to send them to a landing page with a form on it. We don't want them to submit their details, go onto our email database or anything like that. We've established a first line connection on LinkedIn. So we just ask them permission to send it. And if they say, yes, please send it to me, and a lot of the time they will volunteer their email at this point, by the way, you can just send them the file, okay? You don't need to capture their information. You've got a first line connection with them. You've got a direct route of communication. So just send them the file, whether it's a checklist or a white paper or whatever it might be, and use that as a jumping off point to start a conversation. If they've shown an interest in that lead magnet, let's say it's related to what you do as a consultancy, then you can launch a conversation around what pain points or challenges they're facing relative to that particular piece. Now, the next stage we get them to is to invite them to an event of some description, be it a webinar, an online seminar, or a conversation at that point. And you'll be amazed at how many people will then show an interest, especially if that thread is maintained. The topic, the challenge that you've already discussed, that needs to go through all of the messages because that's the basis on which you've established that conversation. And then eventually you can say to them, and this again is an invitation, the key word is invitation. Every message you send should be invitational and giving them the power to take things further with you. And we say, by the way, we're looking to work with a certain number of new businesses in their category to help them achieve an outcome in the next 90 days, for example. Would you be interested in being one of them? And again, people are much more responsive to that than the whole, can we book a call? Can we jump on a meeting? Just chasing. Did you see my last message? Did you see my last email? Whatever it might be. Always providing value, always invitational, and have that message flow mapped out so that you know exactly what comes next in every interaction with your LinkedIn connections. So that's it. It's a bit longer than I intended, but those are the 4 areas I would say to focus on when it comes to getting more business from LinkedIn. Profile, ditch the connect and pitch, get permission, and lastly, use it like chat, not email. Hope you found that useful. Would love your thoughts and comments, so do get in touch with your feedback, and all the very best getting more business from LinkedIn. Bye for now.